Alright, welcome to my second movie review. Um, I just finished watching the movie Rubber, the comedy slash horror movie, I guess you could call it, about the tire. And it was definitely different. I'll give it that. This was a strange movie. It's kind of hard to explain, but it was definitely original. But is an original idea necessarily make an entertaining movie? Like, can that be entertaining or a good movie just because it's an original idea? I'll give you my overall thoughts about it at the end of this video, and I'll just go right through the movie right now. It opens up and it has this guy who's basically the sheriff of the movie, and he's riding in the trunk of a car, and the car is like hitting all these chairs, kind of like an obstacle course you would take at traffic school. And there's this little kind of nerdy looking guy holding a lot of binoculars. So the sheriff gets out of the trunk and he talks directly to the audience watching the movie. He talks directly to the camera and he says, why did Steven Spielberg make E.T. Brown? Why do the people in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre never wash their hands, or you never see them go to the bathroom? It's no reason. There's no reason to any of these things. And he goes through a bunch of movies and he says, why did this happen? No reason. He says, why do some people like sausage and some people hate sausage? No reason. So I guess he's trying to put the thought into your minds, why make a movie about a tire? No reason. So I got that. I was on board for that. Then the nerdy guy kind of hands out the binoculars to this group of spectators. The sheriff gets in the trunk and drives away. Um, well, he's driven away. These spectators are watching what I guess is the same movie we're watching through binoculars in the desert. I know, it's very strange, but this is what happens. So then the movie starts and the tire comes to life and it sees an empty bottle of water and it runs it over. It sees a scorpion in the desert and runs it over, but it comes across a glass bottle that it can't break, so it develops these powers where it just kind of vibrates and then the bottle explodes. So the tire rolls along and it starts exploding things like cans and birds and a rabbit. And it gets to the highway and this girl drives by in a car. Apparently, the tire is attracted to this girl. It shakes her car, and then her car stops, and this guy driving behind her hits the tire. So the tire gets knocked out briefly, and the girl gets her car started. She drives away. Well, eventually, the tire meets up with the guy who hit him at the gas station and makes his head explode. So that's the tire's first victim. Um, Meanwhile, the girl comes to a hotel and she checks in, and the tire follows her, and it checks into the hotel, I guess, and starts watching TV in the room next to hers. So, the uh, the girl's taking a shower, and the tire kind of spies on her. And this little kid notices the tire. And the tire rolls back into its room, and I guess it didn't notice the kid. And the kid tries to tell his dad, there's a tire in that room. And eventually, the tire kills one of the maids who clean up the hotel. So the police are called. The kid tries to explain to everyone that it's the tire doing the murders, but no one wants to believe him. And then all of a sudden, like, there's this other scene where the nerdy guy from before gets a phone call, and he's like, "Yes, master, yes." And he's got a live turkey in his room. He kills the turkey, and he takes it to the group of spectators watching the movie in the desert. And they all eat it, and they all start to get really bad stomach pains, and they all die because they're poisoned, apparently. Except for one guy who's in a wheelchair, and he's just still watching the movie through binoculars. So the police are called for the murder of the woman back in the tire world. And the police come and he's interviewing the owner of the hotel, and then his watch goes off and he says, "Oh, I guess the poison kicked in. We can go home now. It's over." He says thank you to the hotel guy, who looks at him weird, and then the sheriff kind of, it's the same sheriff who opened the movie, says, "We're done." Then the nerdy guy comes up to him and he says, "There's still one more guy left. He didn't eat the turkey, so he's still watching. So we're not done yet." So the sheriff gets really upset and he's like, "Oh man." And apparently it's really bizarre. It's like a movie within a movie. Like they're kind of shooting a movie, so the sheriff has to keep the movie going, all because this one guy is still alive watching it. And the nerdy guy goes back up to the guy in the desert with the binoculars, and he tries to feed him more food. And the old man in the wheelchair is not having it. He says, "I'm not hungry." So the nerdy guy eats the food. I don't know why. He knows it's poison, but he eats it, and then he dies, and he yells, "This was supposed to be for you," and that kills him off. It's really bizarre. But eventually, the sheriff sees that the tire is causing the murders when the hotel manager gets killed. And so he goes and he tells the other policeman, "This is what we're looking for." He shows him a tire and he says, "We got to find this guy. He's the killer." So all the cops go on this manhunt for the tire. And the tire kills like a group of cops that come up to it, and then it kind of just rolls down the highway like it's trying to escape. And then you cut to the tire in the desert, and it comes across these guys burning rubber. They're burning all these old tires. So the tire gets upset, I guess, because the next thing we see is 3 days later, and it's just a bloodbath. Like all these people in town with their heads blown off. You just see a group of bodies laying down. Like grocery store, a telephone booth, the sidewalk, like bodies all over the place. So I assume the tire gets upset over the burning of tires and just goes on a rampage. Well, they lure the tire. They uh, they track it down into a house where it's watching TV again, and they have a mannequin set out front with dynamite attached to it. And in a van outside is the sheriff and the woman the tire was interested in. And she's kind of speaking through the microphone, saying things like, "Kill me, kill me." Then all of a sudden, the old man in the wheelchair knocks on the back of the van. And the sheriff and the lady open the door, and he says, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "Well, we're trying to lure the tire out." And he says, "This doesn't make any sense. I understood the movie up till now, but now it's just not making any sense. It's too slow." So they're kind of talking out of character, like, and like this isn't a movie, or this is a movie within a movie. And the sheriff says, "Well, we wouldn't even be here if you would have ate the turkey." And the old man's like, "Fair enough." And the sheriff says, "We'll try to rush it along." So the idea is that the tire gets mad at the mannequin and explodes the head, setting off the dynamite. Well, the tire eventually does blow up the mannequin, but the dynamite doesn't go off. So the sheriff gets mad, grabs a shotgun, goes in there. The old man's in the wheelchair sitting outside, and he says, "You can't do that. You can't kill it off this way. The movie can't end now." He goes in the house and blows away the tire. He comes out with a strip of rubber, throws it at the feet of the guy in the wheelchair, and says, "There, the end. Movie's over." And he walks off. And as he leaves, a tricycle rolls out of the house, and the old man says, "No, wait, it's not over. He's been reincarnated into a tricycle." That part was funny, actually. Um, but it's too late. The sheriff and the van and the cops, they're all gone. And the old man sees the tricycle, and it kind of rolls towards him, and he says, "No, wait, I'm not in the movie. I'm not a character. I'm a spectator." But the tricycle keeps coming, and it eventually kills the old man in the wheelchair. So I guess it's like the two worlds kind of merged. Um, Then basically we see the girl get dropped off by the sheriff. The girl the tire was interested in, she gets in her car, and then she sees the tricycle drive down the street by her car. She just kind of stares at it, and that's basically it. The tricycle just keeps going down the highway. Pieces of tires on the side of the road, um, out in the desert, they start to come alive and follow the tricycle. And the last thing you see is the tricycle and an army of tires staring at the Hollywood sign. That's it. The credits roll. They do kind of a little thing at the end of the credit where it just shows the opening again with the sheriff telling everybody why did this happen? No reason. He basically just says the same exact thing he said at the beginning of the movie, just from a different angle. It's the same scene, and that's it. That's the end of the movie. So, after watching it, I mean I wasn't really all that entertained in it. It felt like a lot of stuff dragged on. I didn't really like it that much. I'll give them credit for trying something new. It was an original idea, but like I said, that doesn't necessarily make a good movie. Um, I think that if they got rid of the whole spectator thing, where the spectators are watching the movie and they talk directly to the camera, and it was just the movie, like a horror movie spoof about a tire, I think I would have actually liked it. But the way they did this, it's I mean, I could have even done with the opening where the sheriff is talking to the audience and he says, why did Steven Spielberg do this? No reason. Because then you kind of get on board and you're like, it's a movie about a tire. I know it's goofy. But, why does a lot of stuff happen in movies? There's no reason, so I can watch a movie about a tire. Like, why make a horror movie about a tire? No reason. I got that. But then when you're watching the movie and they have these spectators who were basically watching the movie while you're watching it, that just really, I didn't like it. I just didn't really like it that much. So that's basically my review of Rubber. If you want to see something different that's kind of like a horror comedy, maybe check it out. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever watch this one again. So there you go. Well, I hope you guys like this movie review, and I hope to do a lot more of these. If you have any suggestions on movies for me to watch and review, leave me a comment. Like my videos and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And I will talk to you again next time. Thank you.